I am 84 years old. I built 2 successful hardware stores, put 3 kids through college without a dime of debt, and I have 7 grandchildren who, until a few years ago, looked at me like I was a warden in a prison they were forced to visit. I am going to tell you something that the family therapists, the parenting blogs, and society will not tell you. They will tell you it is just a generation gap. They will blame the smartphones, the iPads, and the social media algorithms for why your grandkids dread coming over for Sunday dinner. They are feeding you a comforting lie. You know the exact feeling, the heavy silence in the living room, the way their eyes immediately dart to the front door the second they walk in, the forced, polite smile they give you when you hand them a $20 bill before they retreat to the corner of the couch, burying their faces in glowing screens. You sit there, feeling your chest tighten, realizing that to your own flesh and blood, you are not a grandfather. You are just a dusty museum exhibit, an obligation on a calendar. Do not scroll past this, because if you have the courage to stay, I will tell you the exact reason your bloodline is pulling away from you. It has nothing to do with the internet and everything to do with your ego. Let me take you back to the summer of 1998. The air was thick with the smell of freshly cut Bermuda grass and old motor oil. My first grandson, David, was 7 years old, and I was still full of that rigid, stubborn pride that men of our generation mistake for wisdom. I had this unwritten rule in my head: my house, my rules, my world. I believed that because I had gray hair and a bank account, everyone younger than me owed me their undivided attention. I thought I was a patriarch. In reality, I was just a tyrant in a recliner. I remember the exact afternoon David came running into my workshop. His eyes were wide, shining like polished marbles. He was holding some comic book, bursting with excitement to tell me about a fictional hero who could fly. He just wanted to share his joy with his grandfather. And what did I do? I didn't smile. I didn't kneel down to look at the pages. I wiped my greasy hands on a rag, stood up to my full height to make sure he felt how small he was, and I said, "Put that nonsense away, boy. Come over here and learn how to sort these galvanized nails. Time to learn the value of hard work." The silence that followed, it haunts me every single night. I can still see the exact moment the light died in his eyes, the way his little shoulders slumped, the way his hand slowly lowered the comic book to his side. He didn't argue. He just muttered, "Yes, sir," and he started sorting the nails. I thought I was building a man. I thought I was passing down legacy. But as I watched him sort those cold pieces of metal in absolute terrified silence, I caught a glimpse of my late wife, Sarah, standing behind the screen door. The look she gave me, it wasn't anger. It was a profound, heartbreaking pity. She knew what I was too blind to see. I had won his obedience, but I had just lost his heart. I demanded that a 7-year-old child step into my exhausted, cynical world, because I was too arrogant, too lazy, and too proud to step into his beautiful, innocent one. Fast forward 25 years. Last Sunday afternoon. The house is much quieter now. There is no smell of motor oil or fresh grass anymore, just the sterile scent of lemon furniture polish and the stale air of old age. My youngest grandson, Michael, came over. He is 19, a good kid. He sat exactly where you are sitting now, sunk deep into the furthest corner of that couch, clutching his smartphone like it was a life raft in a very quiet, very awkward ocean. I asked him the same 3 questions I have asked him for the last 5 years. How is college? How is your car running? Do you need any money? And he gave me the same 3 rehearsed answers. Fine. Good. No thanks, Grandpa. That was the entire conversation. 20 seconds of dialogue for a 2-hour visit. For the next hour and 59 minutes, the only sound in this house was the muffled laughing coming from his earbuds and my heavy breathing. Every 5 minutes, I watched his eyes dart toward the digital clock on the microwave. He wasn't visiting his grandfather. He was serving a sentence. When he finally stood up to leave, he practically sprinted to the door. Gotta go study, Grandpa, he lied. I watched through the blinds as he got into his car. The moment he closed that door, his entire posture changed. His shoulders relaxed. He pulled out his phone, smiled a real, genuine smile at whatever was on that screen, and drove away. I walked back into the empty living room. The cushion where he sat was still slightly warm, but the house felt colder than a tomb. I picked up my phone. I stared at a text message I had sent him 3 days earlier. Thinking of you, buddy. Underneath it, just one word. Read. No reply. Just silence. I can't even be angry with him. How could I be? I spent 40 years teaching my bloodline that my presence meant judgment, lectures, and standards they could never meet. I built a massive fortress of respect around myself, and now I am completely trapped inside it, starving for a conversation, begging silently for a connection I don't know how to ask for. Here's the brutal truth about men like us. We spend our entire lives conquering things. We conquer our careers. We conquer our mortgages. We conquer our fear of poverty and failure. And because of that, we naturally assume we must conquer our families too. We make a fatal, arrogant mistake. We confuse respect with connection. We demand that our grandchildren respect us because of our white hair, our bank accounts, and the wars we fought, literal or metaphorical. We want them to sit quietly, nod at our outdated advice, and be endlessly grateful. We demand they enter our world strictly on our terms. But connection, real connection, requires surrender. It requires you to lay down your heavy armor, to look at a 15-year-old kid and admit that you don't understand their music, you don't understand their fears, and you are completely lost in their digital world. It requires you to swallow your pride and say, "Teach me." And that terrifies us. The ego of an aging man is a fragile, dangerous thing. We would rather sit alone in a quiet house, wrapped in our majestic pride, than look a teenager in the eye and admit we feel obsolete. We build these massive walls of authority to hide the fact that we don't know how to just be a friend. When you were a father, your job was to protect and provide. You had to be the general. But listen to me, old man. You are not the general anymore. The war is over. Your job now is to be the sanctuary. You think your legacy is the trust fund you leave behind or the house you paid off. Bullshit. Your legacy is how they feel in their chest when your name is mentioned after you are in the ground. Right now, if you died tomorrow, would your grandkids cry because they lost their safe harbor? Or would they just wear black because their parents told them to? So how do you tear down these massive walls of ego? How do you escape the fortress of your own making before your time runs out? You don't do it with a grand dramatic apology. You do it with 3 micro actions. Action number 1, stop preaching and start asking for advice. Tomorrow, call that grandson or granddaughter. Do not ask about their grades, their job, or their haircut. Ask them to teach you something. Tell them you can't figure out a setting on your damn phone, or ask them to explain a piece of technology they use. Make yourself the absolute beginner. Let them be the expert for once. Swallow your ancient pride and watch how their guarded posture melts away when they realize they don't have to defend themselves against you. Action number 2, the 10-minute silence rule. The next time they are sitting in your living room, looking at the clock, ask them about a hobby they genuinely care about, even if it's a ridiculous video game or a loud band you despise. And then you shut your mouth for 10 solid minutes. Not a single word of correction. No, back in my day. No, well, you should really focus on. No judgment whatsoever. Just listen. Nod. Treat their chaotic, seemingly trivial world like it is the front page of the Wall Street Journal, because to their developing minds, it is. Give them the rare gift of being heard without being constantly evaluated. Action number 3. Build a sanctuary, not a classroom. Create one tiny, entirely meaningless ritual that has absolutely 0 educational value. A specific box of cheap grocery store cookies that you only open when they are around. A silent habit of sitting on the porch watching cars go by for 5 minutes before they drive home. No heavy life lessons attached. No pressure to perform. Just a safe, quiet space where they can simply exist next to you, breathing the same air, without having to prove their worth to the patriarch. I am 84 years old. My hands shake too much to build hardware stores anymore, and my voice doesn't command the room like it used to. But my youngest grandson, Michael, he came over yesterday. He didn't sit in the furthest corner of the couch like a hostage. He sat right here, inches away from me. We ate stale donuts, and he showed me some ridiculous, fast-paced video on his phone. I didn't understand a second of it, but I laughed because he was laughing. We didn't solve the world's problems, but when he finally stood up to leave, he didn't sprint to his car. He leaned down, wrapped his arms around my frail shoulders, and hugged me. A real, lingering hug. True freedom at the end of your life isn't about dying with authority. It isn't about being feared, respected, or remembered as a titan. It is about dying with the absolute certainty that when your grandkids think of you, they don't feel the heavy, suffocating weight of obligation. They just feel a warm, quiet smile in the center of their chest. Make the change, old man. Swallow the ego. Step into their world. Do it today, before the only thing left visiting your empty house is the wind. Be the sanctuary.